Hey y'all, new day, new verse. Let's dig in. 14 through 16 today. Bless your enemies, no cursing under your breath. Laugh with your happy friends when they're happy. Share tears when they're down. Get along with each other, don't be stuck up. Make friends with nobodies. Don't be the great somebody. And each one of these things taken separately in this first block itself, not all of it's a way to live. The entire section is. In fact, there's a lot of devotionals I've seen that talk about how to be a Romans 12 Christian. The question of, well, how does one bless their enemies when their enemies do things like that? And, the sarcastic part of me wants to say, well, when you have friends like that, you don't really need enemies. So really, if everybody's a friend, you may as well just treat each other nicely. But it's more the whole bless your enemies, no cursing under your breath. That the two kind of go together. And I think in that regard, it's a spirit of finding a spirit of contentment. Content in God. Because it gets in the laugh with your happy friends when they're happy. Share tears when they're down. For a bit I'd be wrestling with, okay, so what does it look like for us? What do we do? And I found myself thinking that, we find contentment and peace, shalom, in Him. That as we get closer in relationship, we are given the spirit of peace. That is not to say that we don't struggle. Those struggles are difficult. They do come. The enemy does try to mess with us. But I think in a lot of regards, it's needing, and I may be a little off on this one, but for my own part, when I've been getting attacked lately about different things or what have you, I've had to stop and look at it with logic more than emotion. Because if I can look at it through logic, I can see where the emotion is coming from. Not just with interacting with people, but see where the enemy is attacking me. Because emotion is a good thing. We have it for a reason. Even in the word right here, be happy with them, share tears with them, get along with each other. All of these things are all born out of empathy. That we love as Christ loved us and loves us. Loved in the past tense to die for our sins and be rose again. Loves is in the current being. Anyway, it strikes me as a beautiful thing that the entire how to do it is focusing on that way God says to live. In love. And I'd say in empathy, but empathy doesn't do it right. Because agape love is a choice. It is a choice not to curse under our breath, but to bless those. When a neighbor goes driving by in a loud vehicle rather than brr, it's like, I'm glad they're having fun. Because, okay, somebody might be doing it to be rude, but unless you're omniscient, you wouldn't know. What if they're doing it for a bit of fun? What if they're doing it because small children like the sounds of large motors? At least some do. How often do you see little kids, or were a little kid, that would try and get a trucker to honk? Just because it's fun. Just because it's that little bit of levity and laughter and joy. How does one laugh with your happy friends when they're happy and share tears when they're down? By connecting. Not just on the mental sense, but on the emotional sense. Going through what they're going through. Because we're all taking a journey. We all face trials. We all face tribulations. We all face difficulties. I think, and I don't like using this word of it, and I'm not trying to direct it toward people. I'm thinking the stupidity of the spirit is that spirit that tells us that we don't have others. Because we do. And even if it doesn't feel like we do, there are those out there. We can have that empathy and we can have that love, because the trials that somebody is going through, we might have already experienced, and can at the very least empathize with where they're coming from. Listen. If asked for, offer. At the very least, it gives us an opportunity to see there's no place for judgment. Well, they're going through this difficulty. Have you never gone through one either? Because we all do. The moment we start thinking we don't is the moment we become not only foolish, but arrogant. As it continues on to get along with each other, to not be stuck up. The fact that they're together in that verse, yeah. How do you get along with others by being okay with being second fiddle. Because from the world's perspective, we're all nobody. But if we're the world's nobody and God's somebody because he wants us, he calls us by name, then why play by a set of rules that consider us nothing? Better to embrace being the world's nothing and live as God's something. You know, because it's living as God's someone. You know, that's like, well, the world's picking on me, and a lot of people respond, well, the world doesn't care. Well, yeah. But God does, and that's the beauty of that relationship, is that we can come before him with those pains, with those sorrows, with those holes that we wish the world would try and fill, and just say, God, I need you. Fill me. You know, that it ends this verse section with make friends with nobodies, don't be the great somebody. You never know who will become what. We understand that concept. You know, and from a strictly selfish point of view, if you never know who will become what, then being nice to everybody can do you some good. But that seems like the dumbest reason for doing it to me. It strikes me that the reason you would want to make friends with everybody, that you would want to make friend with the nobodies, isn't because of what they can do, but purely because of the story that God gave them, who they are. Because the moment we stop looking at tags and labels and titles and crap that fades just as quickly as we do into nothingness in the blink of an eye when it comes to time, then wouldn't it be more important to dig into the beauty that God gives us? A wonderful day, beautiful greens, a deep conversation, a good meal, a close friend. And I hope that's what we'll dig into. That as we go through this week and approach the, National Day of Prayer on the 6th, that we just have a little bit of joy, a little bit of hope, and avoid the sorrow moments. Sorry for trying to get a little thingy off there. That's my hope. Well, I will see you guys tomorrow for verses 17 through 19. His blessing be upon you, and just for that little bit of fun, and for those in the Western Hemisphere, may the 4th be with you.